Hello, welcome to Kirsty's Pilates, and this is just a very basic video of a side lying exercise, so for your hips. I'm just going to do the Oyster, so I'll do both sides. So lying down, you can relax down on your arm and relax your shoulder. Your knees are up nice and high. Your hips are stacked. Imagine you've got a metal pole digging through your hips and both hips and pinning you to the floor so that your hips can't roll back. They're staying nice and still and stacked. Of course, your pelvic floor is lifted up nice and tight and your tummy is squeezed in nice and tight. And if you want to work extra hard, you can have a gap underneath your waist. So you're lifting your waist off the floor. Don't let it sink down. That's a bit harder, but keep that gap there if you want to. So I'm going to do 4 sets of Oyster. So the basic one, just lifting and lowering your knee. So really easy, just lifting and lowering. You're keeping your hips stacked, not letting them roll back, and keeping my waist lifted, not letting that drop down. Pelvic floor's lifted, tummy is squeezed in. Really easy, doesn't start to hurt yet. But everybody loves the Oyster. So that is your basic one. Let's do a few more, make it worthwhile. Lovely. So then your next set of Oyster is exactly the same thing, but your feet are lifted. So your feet lifted off the floor, your knees are down, waist lifted if you can manage to keep that. Same thing, just lifting and lowering your hip. And again, you're keeping your hips nice and stacked, not letting them roll back. Keeping your pelvic floor lifted, keeping your tummy squeezed in. Oh, you're also breathing, not forgetting to breathe. You are breathing in through your nose and blowing out through your mouth. And you're keeping your waist lifted. Okay, let's just do a few more of those. Lovely. Okay, the next one I'm going to do is knees together, feet apart, feet together, knees apart. Knees together, feet apart, feet together, knees apart. Pelvic floor is lifted, tummy is squeezed in, waist still lifted off the floor if you can manage that. You're doing really well. It will probably be hurting by now, I would think. It's hurting me, but don't forget it's really good for your hips. Lovely. I'll just do a couple more of those. Very nice. Okay, I don't normally do this one as well as that one, but I'm going to add this one in just for today. So your last one is knee lifts up, leg lengthens away, foot comes back down, and the knee comes back down to where it started. So you're lifting the knee, lengthening the leg, foot back down, knee back down. So when you're doing this, you're still trying to keep your hips stacked. You don't want to let the hips roll back, they're staying stacked. Also, if you can possibly manage it, try to keep the leg turned out. So what you don't want is the knee turned inwards like that, you're keeping it turned out. It's much harder if you can do it like that. So of course, your pelvic floor is still lifted up nice and tight, your tummy is still squeezed in, and you're still breathing. And if you can manage it, you've still got a gap underneath your waist. I'm doing quite well here. Lovely. Obviously, you do as many of these as you can manage. Have a rest if you've done enough. It is quite gruesome. I'm going to be clever and do a few more before I swap sides. Lovely. Okay. And then whenever you're ready, swap sides. So, relaxing down on that arm, the shoulders nice and relaxed, knees up nice and high, hips are stacked, don't let them roll back. Pelvic floor's lifted, tummy squeezed in, waist is lifted. So you've got your first one, easy peasy, just lifting and lowering the knee. Nothing is moving above the hip. It's all very straightforward. Wonderful. So pelvic floor is lifted. Tummy is squeezed in. Nice deep breathing. Breathing in through the nose and blowing out through the mouth. And also waist lifted if you can manage that. It's really good. Lovely. Just a couple more of those. Okay. So the next set is the feet are lifted. Oh, that one's a little bit harder. So, pelvic floor is lifted. Tummy is squeezed in. Breathing nice and deeply, and you're keeping your waist lifted, if you can manage to do that. Wonderful. So your hips are staying stacked, they're not rolling back at all, they're in a nice straight line, as if you're up against a brick wall or you're about to fall off the edge of a cliff if you tilt backwards. You're not moving at all. This is getting quite hard. Lovely. Okay, so the next set is knees together, feet apart, feet together, knees apart, knees together, feet apart, feet together, knees apart. So all of the same things. Pelvic floor is lifted. I know it gets boring after a while, but I'm just going to keep reminding you. Pelvic floor is lifted, tummy is squeezed in. You're breathing nice and deeply. You're breathing in through your nose and you're blowing out through your mouth. Your hips are stacked and your waist is lifted. Excellent. We've got loads of time to do loads, haven't we? That's probably enough of that. Okay. And then the last set, the really, really lovely one that everybody hates. Lifting up the knee, lengthening the leg, foot comes back down, knee comes back down. Lift up the knee, lengthen the leg, foot back down, and knee back down. Pelvic floor is lifted, your tummy is squeezed in, your hips are not rolling back. With this one, it's particularly easy to let the hips roll back as you straighten the leg, so make sure that your hips are staying nice and still, you're not letting them roll. And if you can possibly manage it, keep that leg turned out much harder than keeping it inwards like that. So try and aim the knee upwards towards the ceiling if you can. And of course, if you've managed to do it before, you're still keeping your waist lifted off the floor. Lovely. I'm going to do 2 more of those because it's really hurting now. But what a sense of achievement we'll have when we finish doing these. Excellent. Whew. So that was your oyster sequence. Thank you very much.